Move on to the issue of censorship and misinformation. Well, a bit of news from the United States here. Two RT employees indicted for covertly funding and directing US company that published thousands of videos in furtherance of Russian issues. So says the Office of Public Affairs. The Office of Public Affairs at the U.S. Department of Justice. So employees of Russian state-controlled media outlet deployed nearly $10 million to publish RT-curated content, which garnered millions of views through a Tennessee-based online content creation company, is what they're saying. This was covered in The Guardian, which is now apparently News Provider of the Year. I thought The Telegraph was claiming the same thing. But anyway, they have said, their headline here is US conservative influencers say they are victims of Russian disinformation campaigns. Tim Pool, Dave Rubin and Benny Johnson addressed allegations that a company they were associated with had been paid to publish videos with messages in favour of Russia. Now, this is all a bit silly. It's silly that RT has done this in a sense, because they have undoubtedly been pushing money in the direction of so-called influencers online. And of course, that leaves everybody concerned open to allegations of pushing Russian disinformation and pushing Russian narratives, even when in fact the Russian narratives may be true, but that's never mind the factual aspect of this. The allegations there, but the point that I really wanted to make here and remind everybody of course, is that while we are told that we need this censorship regime because of Russian disinformation appearing in the Western media, or in the Western alternative media rather, and so on, the West and Britain have been doing this for years. Everybody does this. There's nothing unusual about it in any way, no matter how it is being pushed by the people that want to push this censorship regime. So let's just remind ourselves about Juliet Harkin, formerly of BBC Media Action, talking about how they were doing exactly this in Syria in 2004. So 7 years before the outbreak of the civil war, we, BBC Media Action, worked in 2004 with individuals within the Syrian ministry who wanted change and tried to get them to be drivers of that. But they were also, of course, training journalists in these countries, in many countries around the world, to push Western narratives into those countries. This is something that we've been highlighting for many years. Have a look at this article entitled Abusing the System Through NGOs and CSOs, so non-governmental organizations and civil society organizations, increasingly being banned in countries like Russia and other countries for bringing Western ideas and Western narratives into those countries. Now, Marietta Abel's article here actually talking about their activities domestically, but we have other content on the UK column talking about how these organizations are pushing foreign policy into other countries. So to suggest that Russia is somehow doing something different or unusual here is a bit silly. But that's what's driving the censorship regime. And just very briefly, Pavel Durov, of course, arrested recently, the CEO of Telegram, has now published a statement on this, saying that he was interviewed by police for 4 days, a few days ago, last month. He was told he may be personally responsible for other people's illegal use of Telegram, and so on, and explaining how Telegram is cooperating with the EU, and making a few points on this, the fact that the French authorities had numerous ways to reach him, and so on. So you can read the full content of this on his Telegram channel. But it was this last point here that I really wanted to highlight. That's why he's made it his personal goal to ensure that Telegram significantly improves things in regard to the use of Telegram by criminals, as he's describing it. So I'm going to be very interested to see how the censorship and the moderation regime changes on Telegram, if it does, in the coming weeks and months. And then finally, just briefly follow up on what we were talking about on Wednesday with respect to digital ID, because one of the main digital ID providers in the UK is a company called Yoti. and they have made some recommendations for the forthcoming Digital Information and Smart Data Bill. And basically, they're saying the specific contents of the bill are still undisclosed, and so it's unknown at this stage if it will take a different approach to the previous Tory regime's attempt at this legislation, which also didn't pass before the general election. But they say that Yoti would like to see most of the provisions of the Data Protection and Digital Information Bill return. We are particularly supportive, they say, of the Digital Verification Service. And of course they are, because they are a provider of digital ID products. This is CFIT. This is the government-backed Centre for Finance, Innovation and Technology, and they've teamed up with leading banks in order to push digital ID verification in the UK. So they have teamed up with Amazon Web Services, A&O Sherman, Barclays, CRIF, Dun & Bradstreet, Ernst & Young, Experian, GLEIF, HSBC, LexisNexis, Lloyds Bank, MasterCard, Revolut, Santander, and Yoti, of course, taking part in this, because digital ID is needed in order to prevent scams online. So we permit the scams generating the problem, and then we provide the solution. But just a brief look around the world at this. Mauritius launches digital ID as part of a digital transformation strategy. We've got Brazil strengthening digital ID push. We've got Azerbaijan planning a rapid digital ID adoption. We've got Kenya digital ID rollout. We've got France with Hyperion acquisition. We've got India pushing digital ID. We've got Ethiopia pushing digital ID. It has happened, all those headlines just within the last few days or week and a half or so. It is incredible how rapidly this particular agenda is developing. We'll obviously be covering it a lot more, but I think we need to be seeing a lot more pushback from general population on this. Debbie, let's come back to you then for a final comment.
A final comment. Well, are you fed up with doing the housework? Do you need somebody to give you a hug? I want to introduce you to Neo Beta. This is the new humanoid robot prototype, and it's launching for home use. I know you're all ready with your order pads because you can't wait. A little bit more. Have I got another slide there with a little bit more information? Yes, there you go. 5'5", weighs 66 pounds. Interesting weight there, and it can lift double its weight. But you know what? Don't take my word for it. We've got a very short piece of video, and do you fancy having this in your home? I don't.
Yeah.
A robot hug with a difference. What more can I say, Mike?
Well, what more could you want? I don't know. I mean, that's spectacular. I placed my order straight away. Right, we've got to leave it there for today. Thank you very much to everybody that's joined us. Thanks to Mark and Debbie. We'll be back in a few minutes for some extra. Join us for that if you're a UK Column member. And if you're not a UK Column member, maybe you'd like to become one, and then you can join us for all our future extra programs. See you soon. Bye-bye.